Okay, so we'll begin. So hello, museum families, and welcome to RBCM at Home Summer, a play date through screens across British Columbia and the world. The previous sessions of all of our RBCM at Home programs are recorded, and you can find them on the Royal BC Museum YouTube page. And now, after 2 years of doing these programs, I think we're like over 200 videos that we've done with RBCM at Home Kids, RBCM at Home, RBCM at Home Summer, and my colleague, who you're going to see today, who is the star of RBCM Outside. There she is, Liz Crocker. And we also, this program is, this RBCM at Home Summer is done in partnership with the Greater Victoria Public Library, and our good friend, Verdi Patel, is waving right now as well. So again, my name is Chris O'Connor, and I'm a learning program developer here at the Royal BC Museum. The museum and my home and many of the Greater Victoria Public Library sites is on the territory of the Lekwungen speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations here in Victoria on Vancouver Island. And it's interesting because today, the animal that we've picked to focus on, actually, you wouldn't see on Vancouver Island. But I picked this animal, badger, to focus on today because as a parent, as I was reading probably hundreds and hundreds of picture books to my kid as they were growing up, they're 17 now, so they don't let me read to them anymore. But when they did, so many of the picture books that we read had badgers. So I feel a very warm spot for badgers, partly because of books, and then partly because of that relationship of reading with my kid. And there's something like so core and lovely about that reading to each other, and being together and learning together, which is the connection point between museums and libraries. So badgers are what we're going to focus on. And to do that, we're going to start actually in the gallery, again, with my colleague, Liz Crocker. So Liz, if you want to unmute yourself. And the animal that's behind Liz is not a badger.
No, it is not, Chris. No, I thought we'd give you a little look at Wooly back there.
Yeah, so if you haven't been to the museum in a long time, this is probably the most iconic animal within the museum. Badger is a close second, but the mammoth is definitely the most iconic one. So we want to start just to, if you haven't been to the museum for a while, just a reminder of our good friend Wooly behind Liz. But then Liz, you're gonna go around the corner, right? And I will spot.
I am, so yes, thank you. I will flip my camera around. And I've got my mask on, just being a little cautious. We've got lots of people in the gallery today, which is wonderful. We're gonna leave Wooly, and I'm gonna sneak through here, going into our climate change gallery. Strollers. Dodging strollers. We've got our beautiful climate change gallery here. And we've got some specimens of animals in here that are affected by climate change. And as Chris mentioned, on Vancouver Island, we actually don't have badgers. There's something that happens with islands all over the world. We don't usually have as many different species of plants and animals as bigger land masses do. So on Vancouver Island, we don't have coyotes, we don't have skunks, we don't have moose, and we certainly don't have badgers. They are found, well, I know Chris is going to talk about it, but they're in the interior of British Columbia and across other places.
Keep going, Liz. It's great to hear you talking about it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about all I was going to say. But what I was going to zoom in on this part here. This part of the climate gallery shows different animals and plants that are affected by climate change in different ways. And well, I'm already here. So you know what, I'm gonna go as close as I can to this badger so we can have a look, Chris. But I'm happy to look at other things in here. You just let me know.
Yeah, and if you look at this badger, it might look a little different than, say, Francis the badger, is one of the books I'm sure Rudy will mention, is that especially the facial features are a little bit, and the coloration looks a little different than what you might think of badgers, because that is a European badger. And what we're looking at here is an American badger. And with that, you might think, oh, it just lives in America or the US, but it's the badger that you would see in North America. And there are some subspecies of badgers, but the main badger, the main name for it is an American badger. And that's
like
what
American
we would find.
robins.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
So, sorry, that's as close as I can get in there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what we wanted to show just in the gallery is often when we have animals in the gallery like this, like Liz is showing all the other animals, what we call with that is either model, like that fish, or taxidermy, where we where we make it so the animal looks like they're actually in motion or they're actually doing the, like they're actually alive. And that's building a structure inside the body of the animal after it's essentially dissected.
But those ones the fish are models, I think.
Yeah, and then sometimes we actually can't do taxidermy, so we make models, or sometimes if we want multiple things, we'll make multiple models of animals. But like, for example, here, this marmot, this Vancouver Island marmot, is a taxidermy. It's an actual real animal, but it's not alive anymore, and it's made to look like it just woke up maybe, and it's looking around for food. When we go up to the collection of the tower, so Liz is now going to go up to our collection tower, and then we're going to look at how we store and how we collect things in our collections that might look a little different than we see in the gallery.
Okay, see you up there.
Okay, good luck, Liz. So while Liz is going up to the collection tower, Rudy, it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
And Rudy, do you want to let everyone know what is your title at the library? What do you do at the library?
So I am a public services librarian over at the Greater Victoria Public Library, specifically the Wanda Fuca branch, which is out in Colwood. We do have 12 branches throughout the system. It's a great place to connect, to discover and explore all sorts of materials like books, DVDs, kits, all sorts of things. And right now, in partnership with Royal BC Museum, we are hosting the Summer Reading Club program. And this is a great way to keep up your literacy skills over the summertime. So you still have time to visit any one of our GVPL locations to grab a summer passport reading record. And we just ask that you read with your family or on your own and keep track of your reading. The program ends on September the 6th. So you still have lots of time to catch up on some reading, collect stickers and prizes along each week. And at the very end of our summer reading club, you get your very own medal. So we're really excited about this theme altogether now this year. And we hope that you'll still, if you haven't picked it up, that you do. If you have picked up a reading record, to complete it so that you get all your prizes along the way. And just to mention too that the library has lots of really great books to discover. So if you're interested in learning about badgers, whether it's the European badger or the American badger, we have lots of really great nonfiction books for different age groups. So you could find intermediate nonfiction material, which is facts. Nonfiction is always facts. So you can find out more information that way. And I also brought along a couple of picture books, which I'm hoping to read one of them at the very end of the program here. Badgers are really interesting little creatures. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the badger had some pretty sharp claws that you'll see, when you go to the museum. And then I have this one here as well. So those are just examples of some of the nice picture books that we have. How Chris was mentioning, it's lovely to have that connection while you're reading about a topic that you really enjoy. So I'll just pass it on back to you, and then I'll
Actually,
see.
Rudy, can you hold up that second book again that you held up? Just as I was saying, so that black and white coloration on the face, so that is a European badger. So
That's
you
right.
wouldn't see a badger unless it's in a zoo or somewhere. You wouldn't see a badger in British Columbia that looks like that. But they're
Exactly.
all, yeah.
And you'll also will not find a badger with a blue bum unless you're reading this book.
Oh yeah, right. Right. The wonders of literature that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Rudy, we'll come back to you. So thank you all for that. And I put a link to the summer reading club both in the Zoom and the Facebook live chat. So all right, so back to Liz, and Liz has a new friend to meet as well. So
I'm here with Anna Chin. And are you hearing me, Chris?
yes, I'm hearing you.
Excellent. So I'm gonna mic Anna now. Here we go. Over to Anna.
Hi,
Chris.
Anna.
Can you hear me okay?
Hi, we can hear you perfectly.
Awesome.
So Anna, can you welcome to RBCM at Home Summer. What is your role at the museum?
I'm the Birds and Mammals Collections Manager here at the museum. So it's my job to take care of all of the specimens that we have in the collection and help researchers and the public access all of the birds and mammals that we keep.
Great.
So I'm going to bring you inside here. Maybe we can come into the mammal collection space.
So yeah, so this is, as you're looking at the museum from the street level, you'll see to the right of the museum, there's a big tower. So currently Liz and Anna are in that tower. There's a look out the window to the Empress and the Inner Harbor. They're currently on the 4th floor of this tower where all the mammals are.
And if you look at the tower from the street, you'll actually be able to see some of our mounted heads here in the windows.
Oh, yeah.
So keep an eye out for that next time you're on Government Street. And you
So
can see
Anna,
a lot of these. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just before we begin, we have a great question from Adam asked this question, but like relaying from his little sister, Ether, who said, are badgers mean or nice?
Well, it depends on who you are. If you're not bothering a badger, I would say it's quite friendly, but I wouldn't get too close to a badger because they can be quite aggressive and territorial. And if you're their prey animal, for example, if you're a ground squirrel or a prairie dog, I would say they're quite mean.
Yeah. Great, thank you. All right, so we're going to go into your this space now.
Yeah. So here we are in the mammal collections. So the mammal collections are part of our larger vertebrates section at the museum. So mammals are vertebrates, they have a backbone, and they're the kind of vertebrates that have fur and mammary glands. We're mammals, so we're, badgers' cousins, distantly related. So I think Liz there's showing some bighorn sheep skulls. We have whales over here, orcas on the shelving. And whales are mammals, somewhat closely related actually to deer, funnily enough.
I was noticing, Anna, just on the back of that whale skull, there was a number.
Oh yeah.
It looked like there was a number. Why is there writing on the bone there?
Yeah, so we keep these collections in order to document the biodiversity of the province. And so we have 30,000 mammal specimens in the collection. And in order to keep them all in order, we give them all numbers so that I actually know when I'm looking at a particular specimen, which specimen am I looking at? The specimens are only really useful to research if we know where and when they were collected. So in order to keep them all straight, these tens of thousands of specimens, I give them all numbers.
Okay, great. And then, so there's lots of different kinds of animals you have in this collection. And then, so badgers are just part of the large biodiversity within the collection.
Yeah, Yeah, mammals are actually an incredibly diverse group in terms of how they live, what they look like. We have little tiny shrews that weigh just a few grams, up to our biggest specimen was a gray whale, where the skull itself doesn't even fit on one of these shelves. So we keep it in the basement. Yeah, mammals are super cool and really widely diverse.
And I would imagine, Anna, so Liz earlier was saying how you wouldn't find badgers on Vancouver Island. So I imagine that where these specimens are collected is really important, like where you're finding these animals, that helps to tell the story of those animals in the province. Is that true?
Yeah, the purpose of the collection is to document biodiversity in the province. And so our collections can tell the story of where and when species occurred. So how their distribution changed over time, for example. We have collections or specimens dating back to the early 1800s. So where you might find badgers today might differ tremendously from where we found them 150 years ago. And collections allow us to investigate that, just given how much the province has changed over the last 150 years.
So if someone did find a badger on Vancouver Island, that would be very unusual, and like, you'd probably have lots of questions of why that is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true. Yeah, I did see that marmot once. It was very exciting. Yeah, I mean, larger animals, mammals can swim.
Yeah.
Badgers
Like
are,
occasionally grizzly bears are found on Vancouver Island because they swim over, but you usually wouldn't see grizzly bears on Vancouver Island. Is that true?
Yeah. And badgers, they're not really made for swimming. I don't know if they would survive the trip across paddling with their feet.
What are they made for?
They're made for digging. Here, maybe we can come over
can
here
we
and
look
at some, some specimens.
I read somewhere that they're like the best diggers of any animal in the world.
Wow. I hadn't heard that specifically, but yeah, I can imagine. You can see here, this is a specimen that was collected around the Okanagan in 1936. So this specimen is almost getting up on 90 years old. And you can see its amazing claws on its front feet. These are highly specialized for digging. They also have kind of shovel-shaped back feet. You can't see super well in this specimen here, but maybe I can try to show it off a little bit. So everything about them is really specialized for burrowing. And their primary prey are also burrowing mammals. They often eat ground squirrels and prairie dogs. And what they'll do is they'll burrow or expand the burrows of their prey animals, or lurk outside of the dens of their prey and hunt them that way. I was even hearing a story about how it's well documented that badgers and coyotes actually hunt together. I think, Chris, you were watching a similar video to me. But yeah, they don't actually interact too much, but they'll often kind of travel together to the burrows of ground squirrels, and the coyotes will kind of lie in wait at the entrance to burrows of these small mammals, and the badgers will go in and burrow and flush the ground squirrels out. And they won't necessarily share the prey that they catch, but it's a beneficial enough relationship between the two of them that
sometimes the badgers get it and sometimes the coyotes get it, and it works out in the end, except for the ground squirrel. Doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, I would think that the ground squirrel would think the badger is mean.
Yeah.
But the coyote probably thinks the badger is quite nice.
So Anna, you as we were in the gallery, we were looking at the badger, the American badger that's in the gallery space, and we were talking about taxidermy. And just looking at this specimen, it's quite flat. Can you talk a little bit about why we have animals in the collection that look like that?
Yeah, so in the gallery, most of the specimens that you see are taxidermied and what we call mounted taxidermy. And they kind of show a behavior or their pose so that you can get more of an idea of how they live in life. But in the collection here, we store our specimens, or we prepare the specimens so that they're flat. This particular specimen is tanned. Is it called a tanned hide? So it's quite flexible, and it's flat because we need to be able to store them. As I mentioned, we have thousands of specimens in these cabinets. And so if we were to store thousands of taxidermy specimens, they wouldn't fit in this room. So we prepared them specifically so that they fit in our cabinets better, and so that they're more, they all kind of look similar, so that biologists can compare the appearance of the specimens one between the other.
So we have a question also from Adam. How do badgers attack?
How do they attack? Well, as I mentioned, they burrow after their prey. And I think in all likelihood, they just lunge at their prey. You can see they have these amazing sharp teeth. They're in the carnivore order. So they're carnivores that are somewhat related to coyotes and dogs. And they actually have these hinged, oh, can you see okay?
Yeah. I was just going to say, we got some wow emojis that floated up. So.
Yeah, they're awesome. They've got these massive canines that actually sharpen themselves as they wear. So as they get older, their teeth remain sharp. And you can see under here maybe how their jaw attaches to the rest of their skull. It's actually this locking mechanism that allows them to bite down on their prey, and their jaw actually locks. So even if their prey were to wiggle about, their jaw will remain shut. So they have this really amazing structure in their skull that allows them to attack with full force.
Yeah, so you want to stay on the nice side of the badger, right?
Yeah. I mean, they are nocturnal, so mostly active at night. So you are less likely to encounter a badger.
And they would probably be more scared of humans than like they wouldn't want to like interact with us very much.
Yeah. If you were to run into a badger, they're in the weasel family. So they have these scent glands that emit a musky odor, kind of like skunks. So if you were to bother a badger, it'd probably release a bunch of musk, and you wouldn't want to get much closer to it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
What
and
was
hissing.
that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, they likely will escape into their burrows as well.
Yeah. Great. Is there anything else you'd like to show us before we end?
Yeah, actually, I would like to show you. So we keep everything in these cabinets. I'll open the cabinet for you. And these two drawers are full of our badger specimens. And this particular drawer here is full of badgers that were actually hit by cars. This is one of the biggest killers of badgers today, are car collisions. So badgers are quite threatened in BC just because there aren't that many of them, somewhere between 300 and 500 individuals, adults badgers that live in BC. And because they are nocturnal, they're patrolling their home range and have to cross roads often. And so one of the biggest killers, as I mentioned, are just car collisions. So it's something that we have to be mindful of when we're driving or when we're thinking about conservation of this threatened species.
I'm wondering, Anna, why have so many badgers in the collection? Like why not just have one specimen from each of the species in BC?
Yeah, well, our idea behind keeping the collection and preserving it is to document species over time. And just like how you'd never look at me and say I was representative of all human of the entire human species over the entirety of human existence, you wouldn't look at a single individual badger and say, this is the representative badger. So our collection, together with all of the collections all over the world, make up a really good record of what wildlife has looked like and where it's occurred over time and space.
Great, thank you. Liz, do you have any last questions for Anna? Or if anyone on Facebook Live or on Zoom have any last questions before we read Rudy reads the final book. Take that as a no.
That's a no.
All right, so we'll come back to, and actually the image that I have over my shoulder here was an artist in our Artist in Residence program who came up to the collection and was looking at some of the work in the gallery too, and did this drawing while working at the museum. So there's lots of different ways to capture the collection, and one of the ways also to like capture what a badger is like is to create a kid's book about it. So Rudy, you have a book for us to end this session?
I do. Although you'll see this book that I'm about to read here, What Are You Waiting For? Is not about a nocturnal badger. So we'll discover that picture books are fiction and they're imaginary, and it's lovely to read. So there's little badger waking up from a nap. He finds his bunny friend and he says, "What are you doing up so early?" "I'm waiting." "What are you waiting for?" "Wouldn't you like to know?" "Is it big?" "What?" "The thing that you're waiting for." "Well, it can be." "So is it small?" "Sometimes." "Is it friendly?" "When it smiles." "Does it have a mustache?" "That's funny, but no." "Now I'm confused. Can you just tell me what it is?" "Well, that wouldn't be any fun." In the forest, they discover lots of different animals. "Well, is it scary?" "I've seen it be scary." "Is it quiet?" "Very quiet." "Does it have wings?" "It can fly, but doesn't have wings." It's quite the mystery, this book. "So it changes?" "It's always changing." "Is it old?" "It's very old." "I'm so hungry. Pretty please tell me, what is it? Is it yummy?" "No, it's not yummy." "Have you touched it?" "No, not me, but others have." "When will it come?" "When it always comes." "Is it sloppy, smelly, silly?" "Not sloppy, not smelly, not silly." "I'm tired, I give up." "Don't give up now. We've waited all day." "Will I miss it if I blink? What if I have to go to the bathroom?" "As long as you don't go to sleep, you won't miss it." "Okay, I'll jump up and down and on one foot so I don't fall asleep." "I'll jump with you." It's good exercise for a bunny. Uh-oh, I guess jumping made him tired. "Oh no, I fell asleep. Did I miss it? Did I miss it?" You woke up just in time. "I don't see anything." Does anyone think they know what it might be? It was really tricky.
I have an idea.
You have an idea? Turn around. down, says Bunny. Wow. It's everything you said it would be. We waited all day and all night for the moon. I'm tired. Let's go home. Can we see it again tomorrow? Sure, but it might be different tomorrow. And that's the end. I love surprises. There you go.
Oh.
So there's a badger book.
That's so lovely. Thank you, Rudy.
You're welcome.
Do you just last thing, and maybe Liz and Anna, if you want to jump in as well. Why do we think that badgers are often used for children's books? What is it about badgers that, and maybe anyone who's watching too? Why do you think badgers are so often used as characters for children's books?
That's a good question. Am I mic'd right now?
You are
doing-
mic'd, yeah.
Oh, I am. Okay. My guess would be, because I just love all mammals. Mammals are fuzzy and hairy, I think, and they remind us of ourselves, I think. That's my guess.
So mammals in general, not necessarily badgers, but mammals in general.
Well, no, badgers as well, but I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of mammals in picture books.
yeah.
They sure are.
Because they're our cousins. I think we like to hear about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree. I think it's really fun when you see a whole bunch of fun mammals portraying a story instead of pictures of kids. So sometimes it's fun to relate to different animals. And then sometimes it's nice to see what kids look like in a picture book as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think there's a cute factor too. I think the coloration on the face, and also its short legs and the way it kind of waddles, like I think that is very endearing and lends itself. And the fact that like that badger and the rabbit were going on this adventure during the day, and like Anna mentioned, the badgers and the coyotes traveling around together and working together kind of is also really endearing. The different animals together working together is really nice to see. Anna, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. They're just pretty charming.
Oh, Liz is still Mike.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There you go.
They're just really charming, and I think everyone loves a good furry mammal.
I'll say the one last round before we end. If you were going to write a children's book, and we'll start with you, Anna, because you're a collection manager of all of the mammals. What animal would you pick to be your main character in your children's book?
Main character, I would say the pika, because
the pika.
they live at the top of mountains, so they have a really beautiful homeland, and they're small and furry and are just like an even more adorable version of a rabbit.
Nice. Rudy?
Oh, I think I would choose a skunk. Probably because I just think they're so adorable, and I think they don't have a good rap. So I'd write a children's book about a skunk who just looking for some love.
Nice. And Liz?
Hello. Interestingly, I was going to say mountain goats, which kind of overlap in Pika territory. And just because that's just such an interesting extreme environment, way high up. And
Nice.
it's just somewhere where a lot of people don't go. So I think that would be kind of a fun environment to explore.
And I feel like because the ocean hasn't been represented, I think I would pick a sea otter, because they're just so, they might be as cute as pikas, but they're definitely
mammal.
up there. Still mammal.
Mammals
Yeah.
for the win.
Yeah.
But we're all biased,
Yeah,
right?
we're all mammals. Yeah, it's all mammals. Don't tell anyone in
say,
the invertebrate
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah.
But
Our
mammals for
invertebrate
the win.
colleagues. Yeah, don't tell them.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rudy, for taking part in both of these sessions this summer. I look forward to next summer doing it again.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. And again, the links for the Summer Reading Club are up, and definitely check that out. If not for this summer, then definitely in summers to come as well. And Anna, thank you so much for showing us your space.
Yeah, no problem.
And Liz, thanks so much for being the host up there.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.